Welcome to the Image Critique Show with Jeff Johnson, Rick Avalos, and their special guest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining the show this evening. It's been a good long month since we've seen you, and I hope that we've got some good images for you to talk about this evening. Rick, how are you? It's good to see you.
I am doing terrific. Jeffy, how you doing, buddy?
Doing okay. As you know, I've had a little bit of a...
Jeffy's my brother from another mother.
Yeah. Well, I always laughed when I would go visit the Avalos family when Jack he put his arm around, and of course Jack would put his arm around me, but it would be around my waist because and how many brothers and sisters, Rick? 17?
9 of us, yeah.
9, yeah. And so, but Jack would refer to me as the son.
Yeah.
It's the other guy.
Yeah. A lot of water under that bridge, man.
That's right. Absolutely. So
Whippy, thank you so much for being here again tonight and
glad to help you out.
And keeping us on track.
Always glad to be here, man. You bet. Wouldn't miss it.
Is that even possible to keep us on track?
Well,
no.
I was being kind, I guess.
Okay.
I
know. Wow. Hey, Rick, we have a wonderful, talented guest with us tonight. Why don't you introduce her to us?
We sure do. Miss Donna GoodHale, who hails. I just wanted to use that.
She's never heard that one before, I'll bet.
From Rutland, Vermont, and Richmond, Virginia. Donna's just south by about 2 or 3 weeks of 35 years in business, right? And Rhode Island School of Photography was your formal training, and Donna not only, has this background in training, but she's a giver. Past president, Vermont Association, New England Association, of which I've had the privilege of sharing some time with you up there. Like I say, Donna, the giver, council member, PPA, affiliate juror. So she's the whole package. So we're really blessed tonight to have someone who's going to enlighten us with commentary, and we're going to have some fun as we always do. So we're going to take things as serious as they need to be to edify our members in terms of the critiques and comments that we're going to make, but we always like to keep it loose. So, Donna, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And, hun, if you, and I look at you, just south of 35 years in business, what were you, 8 or 9 when you started?
I was going to say, yeah, she was 10 at best.
Yeah, crazy. Absolutely.
Well, why don't you fill in the gaps for us just a little bit, Donna?
Fill in the gaps. Yeah, so I started working for a photographer when I was 15. And so photographed my first wedding, like paid professionally, 16. Entered PPA, first hung a merit at 18.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of the path. I went to photography school, as you said. And then right out of photography school, started the studio.
Good for you.
So I moved to a town I didn't know anybody.
Wow.
2 hours from where I grew up, and I literally did not know a soul, and started a studio.
And built a business.
Wow, good for you.
Good for you.
And this is before, Facebook and sharing and any social media. I was literally knocking on doors.
Well, I was just going to say, you're beating the pavement with your
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. There was a photographer. Now you're in Vermont, but the New England's pretty close together in terms geographically. I remember a photographer in Rhode Island, I believe, Jim Robbins. Do you remember him?
Oh yeah, Jim. Yep,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I went to Rhode Island School of Photography. Jim was a guest lecturer there often.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
What a great photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Nice.
studio work. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're so happy to have you with us, Donna, and we're looking forward to an evening of fun and education and maybe a laugh or two.
And everybody who's on board here tonight, Donna invited us all for dinner Sunday, so you can make it up there with us to her house.
Yeah.
That's pretty safe invitation, I think. That I don't think anybody will show up. So,
Yeah, well, I know. And
but it
we've been
makes you
known
look good. Yeah.
our Sunday dinners for many years. We had anywhere from 10 to 17
Oh,
at our table
wow.
for Sunday dinners. Yeah. So
Wow.
Sounds like
yeah.
Rick's house.
Yeah.
And honestly, no family. Like that was all just
Oh, well, it's
yeah,
even better then.
yeah, we hosted international students, which turned into some like whole basketball teams that
Oh, wow.
yeah, like when they're in college, they don't have anywhere, anywhere to go on the weekend. And so Sunday
how
dinner
cool.
at the GoodHales.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Good for
That's
you.
cool.
That's very
Good.
cool. And Rick, you have what about? He's got enough family that gets together Sunday. They have two, not one, but two softball teams.
Yeah, yeah, we have Sunday dinners and then we'll go
Yeah,
out
you
and-
do every week too, don't you, Rick? I
Yes,
remember.
we do. Yes, we do. Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys, I'm ready to rock and roll if you are.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Any
images.
questions or comments from the so folks, real quick, those of you, we have a few new names and lots of returners. Thank you for coming and joining us again this evening. We've got a good share of images to share with you and good feedback. And our game plan is usually, if you have a question, put it in the chat box. Our general in charge, Cliff, is going to be looking for that. So we may not get to your question right away, but if he feels it's more imperative to the image while it's up there, then he'll jump in and ask it. So questions, thoughts, even about different images, just play along with us, will you? All right, so we are recording and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to steal the screen. And there's good. You guys can see me okay. Not me, but the screen.
Yep.
All right, so let us start with this first image called Airborne Heist. Whoops, hang on, I forgot to set something there. Donna, go ahead and you can start with that one. Let me just.
Well, immediately when I came up, I mean, the impact, just the detail that I can see,
Sorry.
that's okay, is beautiful. I mean, to see the whites and the whites of the bird and then I can even see some of the dirt on the feathers. Wow. I mean, really enjoy that initial impact. And then the composition, that leading, from the right to the left and that wing and coming down around and it goes right into the other bird and that bird's feathers, curving in, you loop and circle right back around again. So there's a lot to enjoy about the composition. My eye starts to kind of wander to some of the other stuff around, which, obviously some of it's, just what's there, all the stuff in the pond, lake, whatever it is a little distracting. So my eye kind of starts like looking and trying to figure out what's below and I get kind of out of the story of it. But initially, like I said, that impact when it comes around is pretty strong.
Rick, anything you want to add to that?
No, I agree. I think the impact is certainly there, especially with the tight, the tight cropping of the whole image. I would recommend looking through more frames. I'm sure there's a progression of frames that were captured here. I'm just seeing where I'm barely seeing the face of the eagle here. And it almost, there's no neck. If there's some other frames where we could see a little bit more of the main subject, I think would be helpful to it. But really, there's a lot of impact to the image. And if this is the complete image, as I see it, I think it would be helped also with some presentation, whether it's a matte or key line or both.
So that's a good question. Good comment you talked about with all the stuff in the water. Little things like I'd probably get rid of this here and maybe this over here. Of course, the fish flying out of this guy's mouth and kind of a startling expression, I think, is priceless. But let me just throw this back at you. I'll throw it at you, Donna, because we've talked to other guests about it. When we get these scenes of lakes and things with all the surface, not necessarily the ripples, but all the junk, what do you think? I mean, what is it as a judge? What do you see there, and what do you kind of think about this? Because it's obviously natural. But what do you think about that stuff?
Right. So you definitely, I can certainly acknowledge that it is natural and that, for for a lot of purposes, it's fine. For print composition, that's where it gets distracting. And that, it does take my eye away, and that that initial impact is so strong. But then when I start looking, my eye starts, really bouncing around to all that other stuff that's just not there, not needed to be there. And it's not telling any more of a story. And that, we have the ability now that you can take some of that away, and not necessarily all of it. I mean, the ripples and stuff, I think I'm okay with. It's just that, like, the marks that you made, where the red is certainly just a little too much, too distracting.
Yeah, and if I can kind of add on to that, I totally agree with Donna, and we've talked about this before on previous shows and episodes. Just as we look at an image and we look at the elements in the image, is it adding to or taking away from? And so, we've always had the ability to manipulate images. Nowadays, depending on, your opinion, it might be easier or harder, but it certainly was tough back in the day in the darkroom. But again, when we look at certain elements in an image, are they adding to or taking away? So in my opinion, that's why I agree, especially in this area here, right underneath the wing. Look how bright orange red that is, and it, as well as the one underneath it, that pulls attention. And then my question to myself would be, is that even adding to or taking away? So just my thought.
Of course, there's that old trick that we do is by all means take your image and flip it upside down and just sit back and look at what catches your eye, and then ask yourself, is this adding to the story or is it pulling my eye away from it? I think that's important. Another thing too, as I'll mention, Rick talked about the crop and he'd like to see a little more room. I actually like this because the tightness of the whole scene kind of adds to the tension. There's almost like a battle coming up here. The one bird has gotten the fish and the other one's coming in to steal it, and there's a little bit of panic in his face, and the other one's swooping down on him. And I think that I like the fullness of the image just to give that tension to it. So.
Well, and I think that you can actually accomplish some of that with the presentation, that by
Sure.
adding some border, that then you're going to feel like there's a little more space around it than what we're seeing right now.
Good point. Good point. All right, let's see if I can remember how to do this. It's only been a month.
Hey, Jeff, this is Cliff. You said you're recording, right?
Yes, I am.
Well, I never, usually for those of us out here in the world, when the recording comes up, we have to click and say that it's okay. And I never had to do that.
I did. I had to do
You
it.
did. Okay, good. Yeah. Somebody did. All right. I just want to make sure we really were recording.
No, that's a good catch. All right, this one's called Colors of the Morning. Ooh, I have to do this first. Ooh. Donna, your thoughts?
Yeah, initially, I mean, it's very interesting. It's very, so for me, my landscape doesn't look like this. So it definitely is a lot more intriguing for me to look at it. And so, right off, it definitely has impact. I feel like, it's not, I don't know if it's the saturation, I'm not sure, like exposure, but I feel like there could, be a little more snap to it. I think I'd like to see. I also, which again is in the rock formation, but let me see if I can actually draw a line. But this area, is my thing drawn? All right, so how do I get it to draw? I thought I had it. Here,
Yeah,
let's
just use
here we go. I got it. Right? Can you see?
Yep, there it is. There it is. Okay, you're cool.
Yeah. Okay. So for what pretty quick, my eye went to that line right across there, which I get is in the rock formation, but it kind of, and being so close to the center of it up here, I don't mind it as much, like seeing the layers, but that one line there was kind of chopping the image in half for me. And then again, I think I'd like to just see maybe a little bit more saturation. There's also this area up in here that I might consider getting rid of or cropping in a little bit, just because that lighter corner makes my eye kind of, that's where it's landing at the end.
Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, presentation for me, I enjoy you know, the presentation itself, I'm just not real taken by the color choice. Also, notice the key line. If we look at the key line on top, I'm sure it's the same color, but yet it has a brighter value on the bottom. So, you know, I just think that in terms of the presentation, we probably could have had maybe just a, you know, a little different choice of color presentation. And I know, Jeff, you can take this into Photoshop, but visually, and maybe I'm wrong, but it looks to me like it's dipping just a little bit to the right. And maybe it's because of this open area here that Donna pointed out.
So you're suggesting that
Yeah, because you can see now, yeah,
we go like this.
back to the thirds. Yeah, you know, it's a little white, a little more here than there is here.
Oops.
You know, and I know it's nitpicky type stuff, but that's what makes the difference.
Well, yeah, exactly. We've said that before, that it might be, oh, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it sounds like you're just looking for something to say. But, you know, when I always refer back to when we entered competitions and they gave us points, it was worth a point or two.
Right.
You do enough of those and it gets it up there. I think that theory still exists when there's basically you're taking things away from the judges to point out. Not that that can ever happen, to get rid of everything. But yeah, exactly. Little stuff like that just keeps, if you know, that's again, I think the biggest thing, as I mentioned last time, flip it upside down and see what catches your eye. And then ask yourself, is it working for me? Is it adding to the image, or is it against? And then if you get to it, we talk about this. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. This corner up here, look at the bottom, that little bright corner down there, that pulls my eye unnecessarily. And then even on the bottom right, there's a rock down there, and it's just those little things that are going to pull the eye down there. And again, is it necessary to be there? And because it's so close to the edge, you know, then it comes to be a little bit of a question. An image like this is tough because where do you crop it to not have something at the frame of the scene? But when it's a big enough area like this and like this, I think it's going to help pull the judge's eye away from what you want them to.
Yeah.
And I think this could be as soft lighting as this is. I think it could be just maybe a hair more contrast. I think might give it just a little bit more of a punch, just a little bit, not much, but just a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, in general, my thoughts are, you know, in this image competition, when we're having our images in front of a panel, is to, or my goal anyway, as I look at it, is I want the panel to not look at the image and evaluate it, but feel the image with emotion and make an evaluation based on that, rather than thinking. You know, judges aren't the best thinkers.
I know something my dad would say for years is do something, but just make sure you don't make the judges think, and then you'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh as kind of tongue in cheek, but there's some reality to it. Don't give them too much to talk about. So,
Right.
All right, let's see if I can. For some reason, I couldn't, the buttons out of my screen there. Okay, so this one is called Dawn Breaks. Let me just enlarge it for you here. I think it's just a little bit of an original file. It's a little bit too small. Go about right there. And Donna, you want to jump in on this one?
Sure. I'm really enjoying the top third of the image, the mountains and the line leading in, and the lighting. I feel that there's definitely just kind of a conflict between that top third and the bottom 2/3, and then just the lack of information in the bottom. So if I get my tool back, this area here, you know, where all the information is kind of dropping off, which I get. You know, we've got the light coming in and what's hitting here. But maybe just some cropping might help that with the impact. Again, I feel like we've got two different stories within this image.
Ricky?
Yeah, I really can't add a whole lot more to that, but that definitely caught my attention, was the bottom left corner. And I guess I'm just trying to play with some cropping. I think the top third of that, that's really a powerful image of the range. And it's also a powerful image of the bottom. And normally, you know, we kind of enjoy the contrast of warm and dark, warm and cool colors. And I think that helps it, Jeffy, a lot. But I don't know, it's almost like, you know, two images, you know, you're bouncing back from the foreground to the background.
Well, you wonder too, and because I've seen a lot of these kind of situations in my travels, and I think it's a fascinating world because we have that really drastic difference that close together. So I think it's kind of cool that the photographers kept this. I think cropping it up like this gives it just a little bit more of a play up to, they kind of support each other. We're getting close to a horizon line being in the middle, which is what that is. But I mean, I kind of enjoy I mean, you've got a very cool tone image on the top and then very warm on the bottom with the sun hitting it. I think it's bold. Yeah, I would like to see maybe, like we said, just a little bit more detail down in here, which would be hard to do. I'm not sure what else to do because you kind of have, you know, I guess, what do you guys say? The title is Dawn Breaks. And I understand where the maker's going with it. It's a dawn image, but would there be a title that might be more, I just use the word appropriate, but something that might tie in this story better, tell the story better between the drastic, severe canyon edge and then the mountain, beautiful mountain in the background? Do you think as a title that might, as a title, could it help it a little bit more?
Well, you know, when it comes to titles, you know, maybe a keyword, and I know you do this a lot, Jeff, and I do as well, you know, thinking of a word and then maybe looking at whether it's a thesaurus or something along that line, just to
Right.
trigger some thoughts. And yeah, I guess, you know, a title could help. I'm just bouncing from the foreground to the background, foreground to the background. I don't know if you guys are getting that feeling as well.
Yeah, I mean that was my initial, is that you definitely, with the, you know, Rick talked about the difference in the tonal, you know, the warm and the cool in the top, and then the horizon line being so defined, and then the tonality of the top and the bottom being so different. Like there's just this constant back and forth, back and forth. I think individually the images stand pretty well, but together I guess it's just confusing. So maybe it is the title. I mean, maybe the title is,
Right.
you know, what would explain all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. This is what I love about this country and these canyons and such, because there is that vast geographical look difference between that close of an area. So I like the color harmony between the two areas, but it does tend to feel like it's two images. If there was something, and it's funny because I look at images online and it's, you know, somebody standing on a cliff. They've done, oops, how did I do that? Oh, I hit the space bar by mistake, sorry. Yeah, I guess, you know, I'm looking at, I don't know if to the maker, I don't know if I give up on this. There might be something else in here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a crop. I mean, you can always do this. We can always do, I mean, I have a lot of images where, I mean, this takes the drastic.
And you see something like that rings my bell
Right.
much more than the other, because
Yeah.
we have the warm on the bottom, but it's not as dominant.
Well,
Well,
this
and
is
it ties into the sky on the right-hand side, like, which I
Right.
didn't even notice until you cropped it.
yeah, this is powerful, but I don't like it as much as the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe even like, I don't know, right here, we've got just a little bit of canyon on the left to kind of give us almost an entry point, and then some of the just another idea maker. We're not saying it's right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, this picture wanted to show itself a lot earlier, so let's back up. So this is dinner with a friend,
Hmm.
and if I don't mind, let me jump in here. I have to say that I absolutely love this kind of stuff. This photojournalism, it puts this in his place, in his lifestyle. And this not my image, but I was there, and this is now a friend of ours in Cuba, and that's how he was. He smiled and made jokes, and it was just so. This picture is very typical of this gentleman. But I do like the kind of the little stronger lighting. I maybe would like to see just a little more detail on the shadow side of his head. It's not bad. There's a little bit there, but maybe just a little bit more. But the whole story, the lighting on him compared to the background, is nice. It really makes him stand out, but in his own environment. The bottom corners here are dark, bottom right and left. They could be lightened up a little bit, I think. Maybe even the upper right, just so not to have these black holes. Same with the chairs on the left. I'm betting you could do just a little bit more detail in those areas so that they wouldn't. It's that horrible black hole kind of thing that pulls your eye in, and your brain's trying to search for details, and it's pulling you away from the rest of the scene, and it's just taking you away from the story you're trying to tell. But other than that, I think it's just a great capture. Maybe if there's more at the bottom to not clip into the fingertips, I think would be cool. But Donna, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I thought the title was lovely. Like it just, right when you read the title and it came up, and it was just really worked well with it.
Yeah.
And I love that it's just the slice of life that's been captured of him, like that you can like feel him and his joy and his character. I mean, you certainly feel all that.
Oh boy, he was a character.
uh, Print quality wise, I think I would like to probably see it brought up a little bit more. I think overall it could be lighter. You've pointed out some of those dark areas, but I think by bringing it up overall, that would help the dark areas, and then, give a little bit more light into his eyes, his face. I feel like that area is so dark, and to me, a character or face like this, I, want better, much better. I just want to see into the eyes a little bit more. And then there's just a couple distractions right behind his head, those candlesticks that are coming out. I'm all about the environment. I think that, it does a good job showing, the dining room, Sunday dinner kind of feeling to it. But those little distractions right behind his head, I think that they're not really part of the story and probably don't need to be there. But overall, I mean, I love his expression, the connection with the maker, that captured this with the subject. You can tell there's a definite connection there with them. Yeah, so it had a lot of impact because of that.
Rick, this is right up your alley, man. What do you think?
And I've just been waiting to pop the clutch on this.
I can hear you revving up back there.
All of the comments, and first of all, to our audience in the gallery, man, this is why there are 3 of us here. Sometimes there's 2 of us. If we all agreed on every image with every comment, then what's the sense? And I agree with the comments that have been made to a degree, but I'm thinking of 2 words in name, actually a name, Arnold Newman. This is much of his style of photography. And yeah, I get it with the candles in the background, sure, and those can be taken out, but I would be all over this in competition, in national competition, on the positive side. I don't mind the contrasting light. I think that just adds to the character of the image. We've got a little bit of a tangent point with the fingers, and if the maker were to think about sending this on, I would definitely, allow a little bit more room at the bottom. Right at the bottom there. But man, this is an illustrative portrait. It's not
Yeah.
by any means a classical type portrait. So it speaks of the individual in their environment, as was mentioned. But yeah, and yeah, you know, the candle things can be taken out, but man, just there's so much quality to this. And as I'm looking at it, I'm even seeing, you know, slight detail in the shadow side. And if I didn't see much, it still wouldn't bother me. This,
Okay.
this really speaks to me.
And especially like
tell
you
them, Rick.
mentioned, what was that?
I said, you tell them, Rick, those
Yeah.
landscape photographers.
All right, I'll be shutting up now. Well, and of course, you know, it's hard because there is a difference looking at the portrait point of view compared to the photojournalistic point of view as well. So, and of course, you know, remind me, Rick, to tell you the stories about this guy after we're off the air.
Yeah.
He was a friend of Fidel Castro.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And just absolutely biggest character. So very nicely done. All right. We next have Double Trouble. I must have the space bar pressed. All right, Double Trouble. Donna, what do you think?
Wow. Great title. So certainly, and I really enjoying the technique on it as well. I think that it's just enough. It's not overdone. It's hard. I mean, I love the sharpness on the lions, but yet the softness in the field around them. I sure.
Yeah.
I might not need as much on the top of the image. The sky is kind of a little overpowering up there. I might want to come in a little bit up there, but the presentation, the matte, I thought is very nice. But yeah, no, the technique is beautiful. The impact, I mean, it's working for me. I really enjoy like how crisp the lines are, but yet the softness of the grass.
Something more like that you're thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
Rick, what do you think?
Yeah. And I agree with the crop coming down. I would be just a little higher. That tree to the right, that dominant tree to the right, I'm thinking maybe cropping down just above. Okay, let me do my thing here.
Right here.
Yeah. Maybe just a little lower, but I think the composition, the PowerPoint is handled really well. And then we got these cool leading lines, you know, that just lead into the image. And I'm wondering too, if we were to flip it horizontally, if those lines would be coming in this way, wouldn't be something to consider. I mean, flipping horizontally is a good thing to practice, of course, if they're, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little more comfortable, isn't it, with these lines coming in from the left? It doesn't do anything to the lions to change it.
Yeah, I love the technique. I mean, it's
beautiful, isn't it? It's almost painterly without being painted.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much have said the same things I'm thinking. But I do like the flip just to give it that more of a leading line in from the bottom left. And again, that crop from the, whoa, hit the wheel of my mouse. I shouldn't be using it because it's too fragile. Okay. Step away from the computer, Jeff. So yeah, so I think if mostly just bringing it down like you're thinking about it here, Rick, is what you're suggesting?
Yeah, just a little above that tree.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Very cool.
That's a nice capture. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the intensity of the one in the front here is kind of letting us know whose territory we're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, just zooming in like that, I love the fact, just the catchlight in the lion's eyes. Look at that. Look at how the artwork has been handled.
Very nicely done. Maybe could pop this eye up just a little bit more to match that one, but very nicely done. Yeah, very cool technique. Very cool stuff here. Okay, we now have an eagle dog fight.
Oof.
This is very, very cool. I mean, look at this.
Mhm.
I mean, I've seen these with 2 eagles, but not 3. And I mean, look at, they've got a hold of each other here. Get my little pen tool. I mean, the connection here. Come on. And then even this grip right here. I mean, I have a hard time getting birds sharp when they're flying all by themselves, but look at this.
Yeah.
Just,
So
You know,
Jeff, on um the the first circle you did where their
Yes.
claws are, is it that white? Is that a feather? What is that?
feathers. Yeah,
yeah,
Feather?
yeah,
it might be some down or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably from a tail or something here that's gotten in the middle of. But you can see all the feathers are up on the.
Yeah, I mean the
Right.
detail in this image, I mean you can see like every line and all the texture and the feathers. And then the mouth here. I mean, you can like look at this. I mean,
Yeah.
you
And
can
you know,
like see the tonsils.
this is such a tense image, but yet for me, it almost has a ballet look to it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking
Wow.
it's very lots of tension, but look at this dance that these guys are in. You know,
What
from
was the title again?
eagle dogfight. I might think of changing that to something like aerial ballet or
Yeah. I'm definitely the title, I mean, the images, yeah, I mean the image is strong on its own and the title didn't matter at that point. But when I go back to the title now, it doesn't fit I guess what I'm feeling or seeing. And I love the ballet and the choreo, like it just feels like there's some sort of it's choreographed, like
yeah.
posed almost.
Right.
Well, if you look at the guy in the middle, he's going to be ripped apart there.
Yeah. They're wishboning him.
Yeah, he could say the title could be so like, dudes, let go. Hey, let go. What are you doing to me?
Wow.
But I mean, look at the sharpness throughout the clarity. I mean, the colors, even the guy in shadow over here, you can still see just enough of the eye and the face that brings him up. This guy kind of pulls your eye in first as the focal point. But again, like we said, it lets you play through the whole scene here. Nice big S curve there. The wings spread out. Oh, look at
It's a
that.
full bleed, Jeff.
What's that?
Is this a full bleed?
It is. Yes,
Okay.
there's no mat. And yeah, and the maker told me they just didn't get any mats on it. So
Okay.
that is very cool.
Wow.
Of course, as you know, me, I want to take it one more step and see what would this be in black and white? It might even be more better. All right, good stuff. Very nice. So then next we have Flyby. And there is a black mat on this one.
Mhm.
You can see there it is right there. What do you think, Rick?
That is really cool. And I do like the way it fills the frame. In terms of the presentation, I don't have a problem with the color of the key line. I think I would pull it in about at least a
Closer.
third in closer. You know, the key lines really are helpful to frame an image. But for me, when they're, you know, quite a distance away from the image, they tend to pull my eye away from it. But that would be my recommendation. Then maybe just a tad more contrast to the image.
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing that?
Yeah, I thought the same thing about the contrast. I mean, the image, first of all, I thought the placement and how it was framed is right on. I mean, everything about that. I would definitely like to see a little bit more contrast and just I feel like a little like the whites, a little more white to it.
Mhm. Nice image.
Yeah, I see. I think I'd like to see it just a little bit deeper in tone. And then pull a little whites into the.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Great, I mean, great capture at that. I mean, these guys, well, when they soar, you have this chance, but I mean, look at the feet and the tail feathers, and it's, you know, good exposure and very nicely done.
Now, are you guys seeing on the eagles? I guess it would be what, the right talon, the ankle. Is that a little ring that
Right
they?
there.
Yeah.
Looks like it, huh?
You know, I would think we could take that out because,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, that's a
to
good
make it
question.
look as natural, nature-like as possible,
Right.
if that makes
Also
sense.
looking at what's on the, oh, that's just a claw that's curled right there. It looks like a ring or something. But yeah, a little thing. So, you know, to the makers, a lot of times we're there shooting it and we accept what happens. And while that's all well and good, remember you're going to turn around and present this to 5 strangers, 5 people who weren't there. And more so, a lot of times judging, you'll have a panel that may have some portrait artists on it, a bunch of Ricks on there. Now they might be really good, but they don't know crap about, no, sorry. So little things like that they're looking at it a little differently that you and I are. I said, just saw something. There's a nice big booger right here in the sky. Looks like a spot on the
Sensor does.
negative.
On a negative.
Another one down here. So just, look for those things like that. But yeah, just keep that in mind when you're submitting something. Remember, you're submitting it to people who were not standing next to you as you took the picture. So it's just, you have to kind of back off and look at this as if you've never seen it before and present it. And again, the thing that, Rick and I have mentioned this many times, that's where one of the charges to a PPA member when they receive their master's degree is to further the profession, is to help out. So if you're not sure, find another, and again, it doesn't even have to be if you're a master or not. I will make an image and I think I've nailed it. I'm looking at, gold ribbons and prizes and trophies, and I send it to Rick and he sends me back a punch list with about 10 or 15 things on it that I missed. So we get so close to our images, and it's not right or wrong. It's just, it's a really good idea to get some feedback from on your image from somebody else, because they might see the little things that, again, this little spot in the sky and the things we've talked about are just enough to take it down a notch. We wanted to go to that always wonderful imaging excellence category, and a couple little things like that can knock it down to the merit or even lower. So
Yeah.
just saying. Oh, Dennis isn't here, is he? So all right, we now have, I love this one, hiding in plain sight. What do you think, Donna?
Great title. Yeah, you definitely can't help but smile when the image pops up. And I love the tonality. I love like all the detail, and yet everything kind of being in the same tonality, there's still impact. There's still, like my eye can't help but go right to the elephant's eyes. I love the composition, the leading line, that the root tree there that leads you right in and around the ears of the elephant. So that's all working for me. I think the presentation is very nice as well. I'm just looking this area here. Let me see if I can get my, there's just kind of some funky softness that's going on here that I don't quite understand, because it's so, the sharpness here, and then this just seems to have gone soft there. So that area is a little concerning for me. But yeah, other than that, it's a great image.
I think that area you circled is a mud bath. So it's probably going to be less details. If you look right below that, there's some streaks. I think it's just all mud. So it's probably going to, fill in the pores or the cracks in the skin and just make it look a little flat. Rick, you want to add to that?
No, I enjoyed the foreground in that it replicated the texture of the elephant. To me, I just felt that there was a little bit of flatness, not in the lighting, but in the contrast. I think if we just kicked it up just a half a notch or 3/4, however you judge that.
3/4 of a notch.
I think would be helpful, but I really enjoy the whole concept and the composition.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, I like the fullness of the image with and I mean, really think about how many times we've stood in some situation where there's been an object in front of us between the camera and the subject, and it's either so out of focus that it's ugly or we walk around it. But I mean, this is perfect. Really, I hate to use that word, but it's just soft enough to not pull attention, but not too blurry to look like it shouldn't be there, kind of a thing. So really plays the animal up well. Couple little things I might suggest. Just little light traps like this area
Yeah, that
here,
one.
this guy, even this area. I just tone those down just a little bit. The tonal detail back in here is really, really nice. So I'd kind of take those areas I pointed out and bring them into this kind of a tone. And then I always go in and I would lighten up the eye a little bit. Let's just see the catch lights just a little bit more, just to bring our attention right to those eyes. Don't overdo it, but just bring it in enough. Or you could do it and put some glasses on him. Sorry, maker, I can't help myself. Don't tell anybody.
I like the color of those glasses.
Yeah. Well, I got some new glasses today, so I'm so excited. Everybody should have glasses. I can actually see what we're doing for a change, so it's kind of cool. Anyways, I think this is. So, what do you think about? Would you crop any more off the right and the bottom?
I would be afraid to do that because I would be afraid we'd bullseye if we cropped from the
Okay.
right.
And I also think it'd be a question of what is that? Where now the thing that I think is so cool about it is that like you think of an elephant being so grand and large, and yet the elephant feels small here,
Yeah.
even though it's a tight crop.
Right.
Good point.
So that's something that I really enjoyed. So I'm pretty happy that with the crop.
Okay. Good stuff, you guys. Okay. We now have come on, work here. This is the Merck Woods portal. Merck, obviously it's a name of the area, so MIRK Woods portal.
Go for it, Jeffy.
Well, I mean, I love this kind of stuff. This aspen stand, it just really gives us a nice, a backcountry feeling that makes I want to go there right now, kind of a thing. And even the dark charcoal mat is good, not going black. Maybe the key line, I'd back it off a little bit. It's not bad. And then, well, the key line's pretty good. I think I might have gone with a detached key line. In other words,
Yep.
Make it, yeah, you like to do maybe just going, just off the image, just a hair, not too far, but just a little bit. It lets that key line stand out, and maybe cut it. This looks like it could be, I don't know, 15, 18 pixel key line. Maybe if you take it out into the mat, just maybe do a 5 or 6, 7 point key line, I think will be good. The other thing too is that I would love to see just a little bit more. I know these are yellow leaves, but I think they could stand to go even a little more towards a white, almost as if we're going into infrared kind of a feeling. I think that might be a really cool thing. Let's just see if I can't pull up a levels here. And again, just a suggestion, just to pop some brilliance. And one thing I see, there's a black spot right here in the middle that's kind of pulling my eye because it really is the majority of the excuse me, a big area of. So bringing the leaves maybe into here again. This is just my thoughts. Donna, what do you think?
Yeah, when you changed the levels there, it definitely had a lot more impact for me. The other part is this area up here, my eye keeps going there because there's so much, and just like this spot here that you talked about, there's so many like little details all through here, but this one area just seems to be like clustered more of leaves that there's not where I just almost don't even need, like if it was
a large area, isn't it?
Yeah, like I would crop that part off. Like because
Yeah.
my eye keeps going to that big cluster up there. So if that's
Maybe
not there,
you get in like that, just cut that much.
yeah, yep.
I like where it puts these trunks down here then. Rick, what do you want to add?
Nothing. I think you got it as far as I can see.
We did it right, huh?
Yeah, you did good. You guys did good. I'm proud of you.
We can take the rest of the night off. We're
I'm
good.
proud of you.
All right, very cool. Let's see where we are. We'll go a couple more, then we'll take a little break. I like this title. This is My Good Side. Donna, what do you think?
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, the title is definitely a home run with that. I love the tone, the color in this is just the repetition in the water with the little ripples, and then it's just you're getting that color into the texture in the fur as well. Placement, the reflection, the crop. I mean, the only thing that I might want to see a little bit more sharpness in the eyes area. But other than that, this thing sings.
Rick, what you say?
Boy, it sure does, man. The color palette on this image is just tremendous. I guess I'm seeing a lot of sharpness throughout the image. The eyes through the tail, the neck. This is really well done. I guess if I had any concerns, we have all these values and the striations, which is no problem at all. But I guess maybe it's just too nitpicky, maybe not. But this grayish green color down at the bottom just pulls me out, especially when we have a nice smooth value up on the top. This is really well done.
Yeah, I don't know what more I'd add to it. I maybe would pull that keystroke of the lighter keystroke in a little closer like we talk about.
Yeah.
But man, this is just a beautiful, cool tone. I'll say jewel tones. It's not quite jewel tones, but it's kind of leading that direction, which is kind of a unique. I think the matte color was a great choice.
Yes.
And I see the greens you're talking about at the bottom of the scene. That doesn't bother me. I think it's just part of the color harmony.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, Rick. I wouldn't dare say that.
Oh, no, and I appreciate that, but no, I'm saying you're wrong.
Well, and when you enlarged it, the softness concern that I had went away. So like that, when you brought that up a little bit, it became a lot sharper in the area. Like the eye didn't seem as sharp as like the hair behind it or the feathers in front. But now that you've enlarged it, I can see that it's crisp.
Well, that's why I had to enlarge it. Like I said, I got new glasses. I know they work. We'll have to take these things right back. Yeah, very well done, Maker. Let me just give us more of a view there. I think it's just really got a lot going for it. And I'm wondering if, again, I think probably the thing that catches my eye most of all is this key line. Again, I'd move it in a little closer and then maybe tone it down even more, maybe thinner or a darker color. So it's still there, but it's just pulling my eye just a little bit. But yeah, very, very nicely done. Very much enjoy this one. Let's do one more, and then we will take a little break. Natural Radiance. Donna, what do you think?
Well, I really am enjoying the presentation. I thought the mat was it's almost like I feel like I'm peeking through a little window, to see. I love the time of day, the lighting. I also feel like we've got a little bit of the two image thing kind of happening. I don't know if I need as much information on the top third of the image that I might come down. I do like it for the depth of field, like to have some of it, but I'm just thinking I keep on like just staying up there. And so if we lost some of that top
Maybe
off,
come down about.
Yeah, that, you know,
Okay.
I still want to be able to see the depth of field and just doing that, look at the leading line now that we get enjoy
Mhm.
much more from the right to the left with those buds that haven't quite opened yet, that now we've got more of a leading line by that crop in.
Right.
But I mean, I think the presentation, the color harmony, the tonality, I mean, everything, the detail, you know, there's some little highlights in the background you might be able to tone down just a tad bit more, but yeah,
Yeah, these guys are the yellows up here.
yeah.
Probably even suggest taking these down.
Yep.
Just a little bit too, but yeah, I like that what you say, because when I crop it like that, all of a sudden you can see.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
nice. Rick, what do you want to add?
Oh, geez. No, we talked about the, you know, in the background, the little highlights but I totally agree with the cropping coming down, because this is really well captured here, and that's where the story is. So the background really should just be supporting elements, which I think would be helped if we did crop from the top down. So nice. I like the color presentation too.
Good feedback. Yeah, see, there is just a little texture on there that's good. It just kind of helps with the whole feel of the
Mhm.
Nice. So here's what I want to do, guys. We're going to move along here. I'm going to open this image up, and the maker made a couple of comments to me based on our. Why can't I get out of the crop tool? This happened to me last time. There. Now the maker is gone, so I'm not expecting it, but Cheryl Moore, everybody, as you know, is quite the I'll say more than avid, quite the landscape, the wildlife. So here's my comment. So we were talking about, Cheryl, did you hear the feedback on this when it was up? It was the first image.
I did not. I
Okay.
just hopped on before you went to
Okay.
break.
So what we were saying about it, some of the things that we all three agreed on, is little stuff like removing, let me get my little pen here. Removing this, leave the fish alone, remove this, maybe remove some of the junk in the water. And
Mhm.
the comment came back that you can't do that for, let's see what you say. For IPC, you can't remove it in wildlife entries. What does she mean by that?
That is correct. So for IPC in wildlife, not digital art, but wildlife, you cannot remove or add anything from the image. Now in MIR, completely different rules. You can
Right.
do anything, you can remove all of those points that you just suggested, and that's fine.
Really? So you can't remove really anything to speak?
No. Can't remove or add anything.
Makes
Well,
it better.
unless they changed the rules from last year, but that's what it was
Okay.
last year. And I know that they're kind of mirroring the World Photographic Cup rules,
Right.
especially for wildlife and landscape, because I mean, it was hard to choose what images could be on Team USA and not know what work had been done to the images, right?
True. And I know you have to submit that raw file in the
Correct.
IPC as well, so you couldn't do it and lie about it either.
That's correct.
I hate to be that blunt, but yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff and Cheryl, sorry to
Yeah, hey, Michael.
here real quick, but hey, one thing that I heard, and I should be more familiar with those rules than I am in that, but I heard that you can't use like the you know, like the healing brush and, you know, some of the typical things that we've used in the past to remove items and that. But I believe I heard it from somebody who's on you know, the panel for the IPC group, and that you still can use like clone stamp, but you have to be, you know, obviously real careful with how you use the clone stamp tool. But for whatever reason, clone stamp tool was allowed for making the adjustments and removing items and that from the image, but that you couldn't use healing brush or any other kind of, we'll call it like AI type steps in that. That's what I heard, but
Yeah, the rules don't specifically state any tools.
okay.
They just state for the wildlife category, you cannot remove or add anything. Now, it does say you can take care of distractions such as scents or dust, but you can't remove or add anything to the image regardless of the tool.
That was going to be my question, is what can we use the healing brush on if we can't remove things, but it would be sensor dust or a wild hair or something like that.
Yeah, and again, not to jump in here and that, but what I mean, because part of it is let's say like for like a landscape scene, which I think kind of goes in line with what you're looking at here for like wildlife and Cheryl's amazing, beautiful wildlife images and so forth. There are things in there that are distractions, right? There are things
Sure.
in there that you want to be able to remove so you can profile your subject and you can put your subject in a better the quality of the image. And like with landscape kind of things, if there's like a street sign or if there's branches that are real big distractions, my understanding is that they can be removed with a clone stamp tool, but not something that you're just using a let's say like a healing brush or spot healing brush or something like that, where you're letting the AI part of it take that out of it.
And landscape and wildlife are two separate categories now. So
Okay.
I am
Right.
not familiar with the landscape
Okay.
rule. So yeah, everything I said does not apply to that because I do not
Okay.
know.
Okay. And again, I apologize for jumping. I just all of a sudden I was out. I just got back in
No,
here.
that's good, Michael. No,
No
I heard that
worries.
conversation and I wanted to kind of weigh in with what I had heard from others, but I agree it probably makes sense to get some clarification on what we can and can't do within the IPC type submissions. So
yeah,
And I think IPC is open, so the rules should be posted. I've not.
they
gone
are. Yeah, they are. Okay, moving along, keep up with the show. We got a few to go here. Let's look at Last of a Breed. Ooh, very cool. Don, are you there? You want to talk about
I'm
this one?
here. You can hear me, right?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow, wow, wow. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. The presentation is on, the lighting is on, the tonality, the storytelling. I mean, look at the detail in his hair, like the little flyaways on top.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can say is that the pinstripe there, the keystroke might be a tad bit bright for me, but wow, I love it.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much detail in there. You can see the grain on the lens board and the camera. You can see a very slight reflection in the film holder of the knob. That's right in front of us. So it's just not, it doesn't go into a black, as you can see it just a little bit. Let me get my little pen here. Just a little bit of a line of the edge of the holder where the slide comes out. Just all those kind of things make for that much higher scoring of an image, so that it isn't just a big black hole, or we've lost detail in the beard, so which is easy to do. But I mean, you can even see the chest hairs, which I think it really adds to it quite a bit. Look at the detail. Look at this beautiful tonality through the bellows. Wow. Wow. I think, like I always laugh, the only thing I would do differently is I would put Jeff Johnson right here. Yeah, that's pretty outstanding. Anything you care to add to this, Rick, or we handled it?
Yeah, maybe, we've nice kicker light on the face and even on the fingers, maybe just something a little along the edge. I lost my.
A little more here on the.
No, actually on the, I'll get it right here. Maybe something along here, the light coming in.
Oh, got you there. Okay.
But yeah, that's it.
Nicely done. All right.
Did you see my husband's title?
Santa's side gig.
That's great.
Good job, Brad.
We'll send our images to Brad from
Oh, I tell you, he did, when we were in Korea judging, everything was, Rick, did you guys judge in Korea?
No.
No, I didn't.
Oh, every title was happy family, happy bride, happy every title. And so Brad started doing titles, and they would show him the image and then he just do a title because they didn't know what he was saying. And so then and so he was just on the fly, had great titles. So yeah, if you ever need a title, he's your man.
It's kind of like, it reminds me way back in the day, I'm probably going back to the 70s and the 80s, when every other picture was that horizontal, beautiful young female face, and every other title was co-ed. Remember that, Rick?
Yes, and then
Co-ed.
depending on what the popular movies were, Forever
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah.
All right, here's another portrait that's just outstanding. This is called See Me.
Ooh,
Wow.
I know.
Hello.
Rick, go ahead. You got the
Hello.
first ooh in there.
Okay. Impact off the charts.
Absolutely.
Expression. You know, the cropping. You know, the shoulders could be toned down a little bit, but man, the intensity of the lighting, and I'm looking at detail on the lips. You know, I love the way that the face, the mask of the face is lit, and I especially commend the maker for not jacking around with the catch lights in the eyes. I mean, you know, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. But man, to me, it's natural. It's more of a natural type lighting, and the storytelling. This is National Geographic. It's you know, a contemporary portraiture. It could hang in a museum. This is well done. This is one of those, what did you say, Jeff, about your name in the corner type thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we put Rick Avalos down there.
Man, that's beautiful.
Donna, what's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, you just can't, the impact of the eyes with the maker, just the capture, like the connection between the maker and the subject matter is just intense. The story in that young person's eyes is wow. And then just the lens selection and the depth of field because of that is just, that's where you're getting all the impact from. And then being able to see all that detail. Even in the specular highlights, look at the detail in the specular highlights.
Wow.
And you take the highest specular there and there's still detail. Yeah. Hard to critique something that level.
Yeah.
Well, then on the other side of it too, look at the separation of the side of the head. You got dark hair and dark skin and then a black background. And look at this, just enough separation to not lose this, as we see a lot of times, a style we see quite often where they do a portrait with a black background and you lose the edge of the head and just lost all that dimension. But man, the shirt, I probably would take that down, like you said, to it. And it looks like it's maybe already been worked a little bit, but I would take this down to a deeper gray.
And yeah, I'm
Don't
sorry.
say don't get rid of it, just take it down more. But man, this is.
And I just am so excited about this image. I would hope that there's other frames, even without the shirt, just bare skin.
Yeah, yeah.
Just so we see the shoulders, a little bit of the shoulders, but
look at the sweat drops on the
yeah
lip and one thing I might suggest, just little things that I would do is there's these little white dots on the eyebrow and there's one little hair that's reflected, little stuff like that. I would take those out, maybe a couple like this. Again, minor things, but it's just pulling my attention. But again, take this and flip it upside down and see if there's little things like that catch your eye. And but wow, the composition is so strong, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this image reminds me of that classic image of the Afghan girl. Do you remember that with the hooded gal, and she had green eyes or whatever, but very, very striking, just reminiscent of that style. Beautiful.
Extremely nicely done. For something a little bit different, sounds like a Monty Python. Sounds like a Monty Python show. Now for something a little bit different. Wow, one of my favorite places. Just beautiful lines. I mean, that's a tough place to photograph. There's plenty of lines, but to get it to not look confusing, or this has just Maker's done an awesome job of directing us from bottom right corner into the butte, and then the repetition of the buttes behind it. And look at that sky, the nice color to compensate. There's a little bit of blue tone, cool tones in the shadows, and we pick it up in the sky.
Man, there's such impact to this image. And you mentioned the lines. Now, Jeff, you know this spot. Would it be could you flip it horizontally, and would that go against the view of this particular area?
You could. There would be only other people who have been there.
And I'm only suggesting that, or because of the lines leading in. But this thing is beautiful. Do you feel, Donna or Jeffy, this area? Oh,
Yeah. Sorry. Want me to go
No.
back?
no. For now, that's. So if you were at that site and it was flipped this way, would that be a telltale sign?
Yeah, I mean, it is, because there's the other two buttes behind it and I've been there enough times to know that it's this way.
Okay. Okay. How about this area here?
But a judge would never know.
Yeah. Do you feel that does that look natural? Does it look like it was toned down? I'm seeing how bright we have here, and of course I understand, that this butte is covering that. But in this area, you see what I'm talking about? This
yeah,
area?
I think it looks okay. I don't think I would have caught my eye until you circled it, and yet I think it looks all right.
Yeah, so what I really appreciate about it is that it's not over sharpened. It seems like so many times you see these images and they do over sharp them, where this is just perfect. I love that, with that depth of field, that, it goes a little softer to the back, as it should in this case. And the leading lines and the texture and the detail, I really enjoy it.
I do too.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple little things that I might look at from where I'm at, and it's just, we talked about this before, this little area right here, just because it's at the edge of the image, I maybe would tone that down to not pull your eye, because you've got lower density along this whole side of the hill here, but that one little spot is and I'll remove it so you can see what I'm talking about. It's just bright enough that it pulls you right there. Minor thing.
Beautiful image.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then I might go in and beef up the highlights on the rock fronts just a little bit more. Just make them just a tiny bit brighter, but that, that's just me.
Well, that's what makes you Jeffy.
Don't tell everybody. It's all right. So that's
nice shot, Maker.
Yeah. Yeah, quite nice. Okay, so then we have, oh, I love this one here. The Gardener. Donna, what do you think?
The title is makes you smile, the gardener. The technique is different. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm still kind of absorbing the technique a little bit. I am a little bothered by, you see this one little, hold on, let me get my tool here. Here we go. This tree here, I don't know if I don't need it. I don't know if I need another one. I just feel like my eye keeps kind of going there. And then Jeff, can you enlarge it just a little bit more, just so I can see some of the sharpness on the top of the giraffe?
Sure, I can. Hang on.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, it is. Yep. Wow, look at the expression. Yeah, it's really interesting. The technique, and you can back off again now. I just kind of keep flipping back and forth about the technique. I'm not sure if it's too much or if it's not enough. I feel like we're kind of in between, and then the kind of funkiness that starts happening here, like with the tail here,
Yeah.
is kind of starting to concern me a little bit. But yeah, it's intriguing.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't notice that before, but when you mentioned that tree on the left, it keeps pulling my eye out there. It might be worth getting rid of. What a cool. Now, so here's another thing. Let's just talk about. I talked with the maker about this earlier, so I don't think I'm stepping on any toes here. But what I wanted to say is we talk about title. So the gardener, and I understand where they were going with it, but what do you guys think about that title? Did that give you? And what I didn't know, let me explain further. What I didn't know, and of course, this is not something that happens in judging, but these guys eat from the top of these trees, and
Yeah.
I was not aware of that much to know where the gardener term came from. Did that gardener title work for you, or did that make you, or did you get it right away, or?
I got it.
What? I got it, and I agree with the technique. I'm still going back and forth with it. I think it's a really neat artistic rendition, but as you enlarged it, Jeffy, I think there are two gardeners in here.
Yeah,
Does
the
it-
guy sit on the shoulder there.
Yeah, we got the little bird on the shoulder, and I thought, man, that is a cool play on the storytelling and the so yeah, but I understand, the funkiness of what's going on, and whether it's mist or whatever is happening at the bottom, and it's creating a bit of a vignette, but it's artistic, there's no doubt about it, and it's creative.
Well, I think we definitely have that soft focus feel of the weeds, the flower, and the flowers, the field in front of us there, which again I think is done very nicely because it's soft and it's a nice vignette without seeming a big blurry
Right.
kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
cool. Get rid of this stuff. It's this backwards. I have to go into the annotate menu every time to get me out of one.
You're doing a good job,
Yeah,
Jeff.
I know. Okay. So there's another one of those really lovely portraits. Look at that face there. The innocence. The look of innocence. I'm so sorry. The look of innocence.
Can you zoom just a little bit, please? Okay.
How's that?
Yeah. Donna?
Yeah, so again, the quality of light and the quality of the control of the print quality, the detail, and then just that little expression, and the looking up and those big eyes. I mean, that's just it's real precious and has a lot of impact because of the eyes and the connection with the maker.
Rick, what can you add?
Yeah, I really think it's an interesting composition. As far as the collar, taking that down quite a bit, I would think. What are you guys thinking in terms of the eyes, especially the whites of the eyes, in terms of where we've gone with them, if at all? That's why I asked for a zoom, Jeffy, to see what you guys' thoughts are on that.
I personally don't think they've done anything on the eyes.
I don't think so either, Rick.
I don't think they've done anything. I think that is the eyes.
Okay. Beautiful.
The maker is here. You want to comment real quick in the box if you want to? Have you done anything to the eyes?
Can you zoom again, Jeffy, please?
I think the eyes are how they are.
Because I see the lashes, and then, yeah, well.
Well, if you look carefully, there's still some veins.
You can see the blood vessels.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny for me when I look at this, I see this, I always heard this term. Hang on, let me get rid of this again here. this kind of the way the eyes are with the whites underneath. I always heard this term called boat eyes. Like there's a boat underneath the pupil of the eye. That half circle of the whites of the eyes matches the white of the collar. I mean,
Yeah, and that is, I thought the same thing. That's why the clothing, I felt the repetition in the eyes to the
Yeah.
clothing, and I excused the clothing at that point because of that repetition.
yeah, the maker says the eyes are as they were.
Right, right.
Really, really well done. This is,
Yes, indeed.
and again, do we talk about there's just enough separation between this shoulder and the background to show the depth. There's enough separation in the edge. Kind of lose it up here a little bit. I don't know. Does that get you guys at all? Should there be some more separation at the top of the head?
You know, I'm not even going there because I'm so captivated by
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a non-issue.
Non-issue. Yeah, this is
And
beautiful.
the makers obviously on the show. May I ask, is this all natural light or is it artificial lighting? And my guess would be it'd be natural.
I think it was all natural what they were doing. Yeah. Anyways, very, very nicely done. I see some, obviously no promises and we can't do that, but I see some good, nice high scoring images with this and the other one that were similar.
In a door frame.
Natural light door frame.
Yeah.
So I'll say good eye to the maker.
Done. Well done, Kim.
Yeah. All right. So now we have The Thief.
Yeah.
What a great story. Look at that nice action. To me, it looks like he's leading up. He's going to steal second base with that lead. Donna, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying the composition. I love the crop, right close to the this leg here, that line leading in, and that you can't help but go right to the eyes, and the title, the storytelling of the aspect of it is just all really enjoyable. There's a little again background stuff that I really probably don't need, that my eye starts bouncing around. There's these little pieces back here,
Sure.
and even this one here. That I don't need.
That's a good,
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
point.
but yeah, I mean, again, the storytelling aspect was a great capture. And then just the connection, just The Thief, great title, presentation, really, really on. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah, it's
Thoughts?
in total key. This mid-range with the background and the subject matter itself, tack sharp. I really enjoy the diagonal, excuse me, the diagonal composition.
Yeah, it's a lot of action, a lot of movement.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And the tight crop just adds to the tension of the whole image.
Yeah, I think that's
Question,
a
Jeffy, the question, what was the title again?
The Thief.
Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, look at the expression. It's kind of like, is anybody looking? I can get away with this.
Yeah.
Although it looks like a hunk of mud they got instead of.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, what a great story. Yeah, even the matting is done well. The key line, all that stuff is done very tastefully, very subtly. Good work. All right, let's see. Next we have
Elephant poop. Mary Hunt says.
So why? Okay, so Mary, I got to ask, why would a little guy like that be dealing with elephant poop? What do they do with it? Certainly don't eat it, right? Or do I not know? Food, really?
Well,
Okay.
there are dung beetles. That's what they eat.
Yeah, but okay, whatever. We'll just let that one. We'll just let that one lie right there.
No, I think that's important that we ponder that.
It's kind of a crappy conversation, but we'll move on.
Yeah.
Somebody had to say, "Come on, hey, this is called timeless pace." Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, composition, the storytelling, leading lines into the image. doggone it, I think I'm just wanting to see a little bit more detail up here as I am seeing in the foreground. But man, there's a lot of potential for this image, in my opinion. There's storytelling, there's composition, presentation. The key line, I would probably suggest separating it. And let's talk about the key lines for just a second, because we've had this conversation before
Right.
about attached and detached. I don't have a problem with the value, color value or tonal value of the key line, but when it's attached, as this one is, we lose it visually in some areas. So if we keep that same color value, why don't we detach it just a few pixels away from the image itself to help draw us into the image, or pick a totally different color value that we can see all the way around the image. But you know, this is a fine, potentially, in my opinion, really great fine art piece.
I agree. Donna, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree a lot with what he's saying. The only I guess that Jeff, can you crop it a little, get that top like this? I mean, particularly that area, but I mean, I don't even know if I need much more.
I would take it just right above the footprint
Yeah.
path.
Yep.
Like there. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Just do this. And I
Yeah.
think the maker's online here too. Yeah, he is. Yeah, see, it gives us a nice trail.
An S curve too.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you see the leading line better, you see that S better, and I see detail better. You know, like I have my eyes, you know, can follow the story a little bit better.
Yeah.
Coming in like that. I just felt like I was going to the top of the image and I was searching for something. I couldn't tell what was up there. And so just bring that in.
Would you get rid of this too?
I would.
You just do that crop a little bit more.
I really think there's potential for this image.
So if I crop it down below that, I guess that works. It takes
there.
our foot trail right to the corner.
Right to the corner. Yep. That's where I was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a story right there for sure. Great tonal range throughout, kind of the mid tones. We got some nice low in the shadow, but there's still just enough detail in the shadows of the heel prints there, and nice little bit of reflection there. And maybe I would work. I like the water. Lost my tool here. I like the water, the bit of a receding from a wave, but this lighter area I'm still kind of pulling up there. If maybe I'm afraid to come down too much because now we've lost
No,
our
no.
but maybe toning this area down right here. Just a hair, I don't know, minor thing. But that has definitely some good potential. Timeless Pace, I think that's a pretty good title. It really gives us a nice story of the just that story of walking the beach. We all have the opportunity. You kind of you go out there and your mind shuts down. Nice. Nicely done. Okay, then we have, let's see. The Dark Side. And I think this too has it's a black mat, but it's a small mat.
Yeah, I see it on a gray background now. Oh,
should I go back to that? Is that
there you go.
That more better right there?
That's more better.
Donna, what's your thoughts?
I want to see it bigger. Bigger.
That was
good.
a darn. I bumped the mouse wheel.
There we go.
What an expression, huh?
Yeah. What was the title again?
The Dark Side.
Dark Side. Yeah, I mean, I love the initial impact of it. His, you know, you definitely know where the subject is, the expression. I I love the location and the lines, how and that's how you know where he is, like everything in the composition and the lines above, like bring you right to him, even though like you have all that space around, your eyes go right there, even, right down to this, palette thing right here. Like, I love it because it actually, brings you right in still. I think I'd like to see a little more detail on this side because I feel like we've got so much specular highlight here on this belt buckle and belt that then we're losing detail completely over here. Like I can't see any of that. And I might even tone down this bottom here. It just seems like the tonality and the rest of it is so much darker. And then here we've got this kind of patch. I mean, even when you bring it down like that, it's even louder, like this line right here, this whole area. I would bring that down.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a great location, subject matter, expression, title. I think the presentation was handled well. I think just a little bit, just a little more tweaking on the details in the shadow area would probably go a long ways.
Yeah, I agree with this foreground. That when you circle that, it really gives it just a gradient would up to his feet would just bring that down in the same density as the grass back here, so it would be less obvious. This area my eye goes to and wants to see some more detail. It's kind of what I was playing with the oops, wrong button there. While I was playing with it Photoshop to try and get it to be a little bit lighter there, but you'd have to do a little bit more of a. So if we lighten up that, oops. I mean, you can see if we had just even not looking at the rest of the image, but just some more detail in here. It's still dark here, but not so much. But just that little bit of detail keeps it from, I think, being lost.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the information's there. I think it's just a matter of bringing back some of the detail lost in the shadow area.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, up here, down in here, I think it would just help for the depth of the scene. Anything you want to add, Rick?
No, just opening up the areas, just like you said, and maybe the little, gotcha type things up in the top left corner, taking that out or
right,
taking it down. Same thing here, but yeah.
What a great, I mean, the expression goes with the title, or I should say the title goes with the expression. Either way, it definitely has that feel, the heaviness, the old concrete, the patches. I mean, everything just really has that. There's underneath the bridge, dark side of a personality. Really cool. Really, really cool. All right. So now we have let's see. Spruce Mountain Sunset. Yes, Spruce Mountain Sunset. I think they're covered up there. Donna, what you think?
I'm really enjoying the composition, the rocks, how you and the layers of it, the layer of the rocks and then the trees and then the grassy field and then the mountains in the background. So that's all pleasant. I think the exposure, I feel like the shadow area is kind of looking a little muddy. So I think I probably want to see like a tad bit more contrast to it, a little more snap. But I mean, I think it's composition is very pleasant. I think the presentation's pleasant. It's just probably missing just a little bit of a wow for me.
Yeah, and I think the wow for me that's missing is time of day. Beautiful image. We've got really nice exposure throughout the image. Maybe a little blocked up, in this area here, but to have that lighting that.
Well, you can see there's detail in there, so it can be worked up.
I beg your pardon?
There is detail in those shadows, so it could be worked up.
Right. Right. But for me, I think the biggest thing is the time of day. Just something a little more impactful type of lighting, angular lighting. Nice rendition in the background, but there's a kind of a flatness for me as I see it.
It almost has the feeling of there's one type of lighting on the background, and because you have the receding mountain peaks back there in the distance, and then the clouds, but then you have more of a flat lighting on the foreground, which that's normal for this kind of lighting. So I agree. I think it's done very nicely, but I think it loses impact. Like Rick always talks about, I think this is so important. You have the first on the list of the elements of design is impact for a reason, because when you first see that image, what effect does it have on you? And there's fleeting and lasting. Am I doing this right, Rick, so far?
Yeah.
Taking it away from you.
Doing
So you get that impact, and if it's something that just grabs you and doesn't let go, that's what really, when an image scores well. But sometimes you'll get an image that you go, wow, that's beautiful. And then after a little bit, there's nothing that's really pulling at you and keeping you in there. And we tend to, okay, what's the next image? And, not to be mean, but that's where the scores change quite a bit. So if that impact is the nice up front, but doesn't last, your score isn't going to last either from the initial.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, let's see. What do we got next here? Let's see. I kind of jumped around here. How about let's go with just making sure. So, and I will ask, because of the little issue I had with the website, everybody who's in the show, if they submitted images, have you seen your images? Let me know if you haven't seen it, and I'll try and figure out where it is. Let's see. So I'm looking through the list here. Looks like we've seen. Whoops, what's that one? Yeah, it looks like we have seen all of the images here that have been submitted. There's one more. Should we show this one? I think I did this one. And I believe this is okay, so Olin, I did not get your images. Did you email them to me? Sorry, this one's called Josiah. Donna, what do you think?
Well, I love the crop. I love just the beard and the lines, like you follow his beard right around, and then the connection with his eyes, the texture, like look at just all the detail in his eyelashes, his eyebrows. I mean, it's beautiful. It's handled really well.
Yeah, I love the lighting. The night, we get a nice light coming from the right and the left to give us a nice little kicker. So really gives us some beautiful roundness, shape to this. I mean, you can't miss the eyes. You look around all the texture, and then you come right back to those eyes. It's a unique crop, which we normally wouldn't see on a head and shoulders portrait. But wow, how cool. The texture on the matte, it's okay. And maybe for something like this with all the texture and the skin and the beard, I maybe would go with maybe a solid matte color. But again, we're just being kind of nitpicky. You don't mean to be, but
Yeah, I would agree with the matte. I think the positives have been stated, but as I look at it, I'm seeing the texture on the shirt almost reflected in the texture in the matte, and that's a point well made. And since and we talked about this from the beginning, we're not tethered to PPA regs and stuff like that, so we can make comparisons. But man, you know, it's nice. But we saw those two children earlier, and I hope I'm not getting the name. I believe it was Kim that had the black and whites of that little boy, and
Yeah.
the lighting on those. I wish I could replicate, you know, something like that. Because you know, in an image like this, that I shouldn't say I wish I could replicate it, but if that was the kind of lighting that was used on this, and you know, we've got real nice directional lighting, etc., but it's obvious that you know, we've got, with the catch lights, we're seeing you know, more of a studio setup. But
Right.
actually,
Right. Very nicely done. All right, so I've got two people are telling me there's 4 images that I don't have. So let me see if I can go to an email real quick. And I'm gonna, so Rick and Donna, go ahead and entertain the troops real quick. I'm gonna go to email, see if I didn't miss it. Again, I apologize, guys, for the craziness of
You know, I was actually thinking earlier today. It's been a little while. Actually, I told Rick and Jeff before since I've judged. You know,
Hey.
it's been a little while. I'm taking phone calls now. But you know, one of the things that I think the stages of print competition, Rick, you know, when you first start out, it's like a mystery. You know, like it's like you start this book and it's like you're reading a mystery novel. You have no idea what to do, where it's going. And it's kind of figuring that out, and then you start learning all these rules, like
Right.
that there's actually rules to this, and then you know, and then you get really rule oriented, right? So you remember those, you know, first it's you don't know what you're doing, then it's like you're so consumed by the rules of it, you know, like so you're trying to learn all these rules, and then I think that's when the learning starts. Like once you've like learned some of those basic rules, and now when you enter, you start learning more because it's not about the rules, and it's not about figuring it out. Like now it's like you can actually get that information when you listen to critiques like this and judging, that you can kind of absorb the most of it at that point.
Absolutely.
And then your next phase, like for me, it was about breaking the rules. It's like I learned them, so now I need to break them. Like I need to, you know, do something different to catch the eye of a judge.
Yeah.
You know, so then there's that whole kind of phase of it. And then I think comes the challenge, like to yourself, you know, so then you go through this phase of wanting to break rules to get like judges' attention. And then I think you go through this phase of your self challenge. And then, you know, you're wanting to challenge the judges when you present something to them, you want to make them think more, where at the beginning, you're just trying to figure it out.
Right.
I mean, I think it's, you know, like I look through the years of entering, like all these years, and like where I started, you know, what I was trying, when I first started, it was a mystery I was trying to figure out. Then I was trying to learn these rules. Then I was trying to break the rules. I mean, it's kind of the evolution of it all is, it's really, once you get on this side of it, to be able to look back and see how it affected you. And it's interesting.
Right. You know, it's interesting, Donna, the journey that we're on, because I don't like to say the journey we had, because I would like to think that we're on a continual journey. The first time I ever judged, I wasn't even anticipating to judge. It was the Ozarks, Gary and Kathy Meek.
Yeah.
That invited me to speak, and Leonard Lujan was his name. He was in charge of the competition, and he says in a phone call, and he says, "We're going, you know, you're going to do your program, et cetera, and while you're here, we want you to judge." And I had just gotten my master's, and I said, "I've never judged." And he says, it's okay, because there's going to be a panel and we'll walk you through it, but it would be nice if you would help us out. And I said, okay. And I just gotten my master's, and I had just taken the class with Roland Laramie. Yes, and Harold Beauvais. They are the ones that started this whole judging thing that we're now part of. And
So I said, okay. And Donna, I was so grateful as I was sitting at the table, the judging table, because it was prints back then,
Right.
you know, on the turnstile, the turntable, the whole bit. I was so grateful that they had, like they always do, the cloth over the table, because the cloth draped my knees that were knocking.
Were they shaking? That's too funny.
And, you know, and you're sitting there on the panel, like the likes of which were Archie McDermott, Dave Swoboda,
Yeah.
you know, Tim Matisse, and I'm thinking, man, these guys, I've seen them in the magazine, PPA magazine, and I'm sitting here. But to your point, I thought it's the fight or flight thing. I'm either going to say, okay, I've been trained to a degree, and this is my first experience. You got to start somewhere. I'm either going to cave into my shoes, or I'm going to stand up and do something. And, you know, luckily, thankfully, I should say, it went well. I was judging after a few experiences we had the PPA judging in San Diego. And I'm sitting in the cafeteria at the university, beautiful campus. And I'm talking to Tom McDonald from Arkansas. And we're sitting there having breakfast, and all of these big shots, so to speak, that we've grown up with, seen in the magazine, PPA magazine, have seen their photographs on display or in the magazine. And I got to share this with you. It's so cool. So we're having breakfast, and I said, because I was just starstruck. And I said, I'm seeing all these people that I've heard about for so many years. And now I'm just starstruck. I'm flattered that I'm going to be on a panel with a lot of them. And Tom McDonald, he's just, you know, real quiet. And he says, and I said, and I just admire so many of them, all of them. And he says, yeah. And then you find out they're all jerks.
Ouch.
Oh my
See?
God.
All right,
many.
so sorry to interrupt you guys. I got 3 more images from one person, and I'll just say, let's see, Michelin, I'm sorry, I do not have your 2 images. You are more than welcome to, if you want to try and email them to me right now, if you're that close. Otherwise, we can submit them. We can just do it for next month, or I'm happy to give you refunds. Just let me know what you want to do. Sorry about that. I don't see them, but the online upload isn't working. That's why it was such a problem this year. So this month. Okay, so let's see. We've got 3 images here, and I do not have Maker. Do you want to type a title into the message box? Oh, I need to share the screen. I steal the screen. And so, Rick, talk about titles real quick while we're waiting.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to titles, I think it's kind of like what we talked about earlier about elements in an image. Is it helping the image, or is it hurting the image by keeping these elements in it or taking them out? And I think that kind of has something to do with the title. If we can relate a title to the image that evokes an emotion from the judge rather than something logical. It's kind of like in sales, you know, we buy through emotion. And once we buy something, then we justify that purchase by logic. So I guess, I hope I'm not going way out of the realm here, but you know, a title, in my opinion, should be something that evokes an emotion from the viewer, and particularly in competition, obviously, the juror, something that they can relate to. And Jeff has a beautiful example of the little girl in the window, or was it the screen door, Jeffrey, that years ago?
Oh, the story I've told. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at National judging. My dad was a juror, and I was working on the image committee. We were in Chicago, And a print came up, and it was a little girl, dirty face, looking through a old screen door, wooden screen door. The screen was ripped and dirty, and she had tears in the dirt on her face, and it was just the most heart-wrenching expression in the first place. And the title came up, and I was reading titles that I just got goosebumps telling you the story. The title was Daddy Don't. And the room just went dead silence. I mean, you literally could hear somebody squirming in their chair. And which probably 30 seconds later, but it seemed like 10 minutes, they read the score off 100, and then they always take a break. And that title just said so much. And to give you some comparison, there was another image about the same time frame. We're talking like the 1980s. And it was a really very cool image somebody had done of a white rooster on a white background, on a white stool, profile of the camera, and they laid an egg underneath the stool. Remember I said rooster? And the title was done very well, high key, and the title was Oh My, and it scored pretty well, upper 80s. And somebody talked to the judge afterwards, said, you need to do something different, something with more impact. And the next time we saw it, it came up and the title was, Oh Shit. And the score went through the ceiling. So,
Yeah.
Stuff like that really, really makes a difference in that. So let's see. Okay, so I was waiting for some titles on these images for our. So this one is called Celtic Watchtower. No. Yes, Celtic Watchtower. Donna, what do you think?
I like the composition, the leading lines in. My eye kind of this little area, right? Let me see if I can get my. So this is a little distracting down here. Not sure if it's needed. And then I feel like there's just a little bit too, I don't know, like I don't know if it needs to be just brought up a little bit in the brightness of it. Like if it just went down a little too deep, like if we brought it up a little bit, gave it a little more snap to it, or is there a storm coming in? We kind of like this muddiness is kind of happening in this area that,
There's a little bit more of a punch to it.
yeah. Yeah, it just seemed like there was kind of an overall murky feeling to it. And I'm not sure if it's because there's a storm coming in. I'm not sure if it's the print quality. But compositionally, it works very well. I would just take care of this little distraction down here. I don't think that's part of the story, but I love the leading line coming up in here.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Quick question for you guys. What do you think about, I think this is a very beautiful scene and has a great story, but with all the tourists there.
Bingo.
I just put my 09 bingo.
Yeah. You're going, well, you're talking about where I was going to go. So enough said.
Okay. Go ahead.
But or are you guys seeing a touch of a haloing around the main subject?
Around the lighthouse there.
Yeah, the lighthouse.
The tower, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I do see a little bit, yes.
But yeah, going back to the people, are we doing a travel log? Are we doing an illustrative? As a travel log, yeah, it'd be a nice image. But generally speaking, in my opinion, these kind of images do better. Would you want to see an image of the Great Wall, with a bunch of people on it, or do you like to see it in an early or late morning light with the majesty of the wall, and everything around it? Just a thought.
Yeah, that's kind of what hit me first, was what a great opportunity here of this, I'm sure, hundreds-year-old area. And I like what Don was saying about the leading line of the hillside coming up out of the water and such. The one thing I will say is at this bottom right corner, I don't have the tool here. This area here looks a little bit, could have been toned down to match this area a little bit more, because it's pulling my eye over there, because you've got some nice deep tones across the hillside here, but this is lighter enough that it pulls my eye over there.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea, but I will have to say that with all the people in the scene, it takes it from a dramatic, stormy, very cool ooh-ah moment to waiting in line to be able to see the place. And you get the red jackets and the yellow hat and just, you know, the white jacket, just stuff like that. It just really pulls, I think, the theme of the attention away from that. Okay. I think we said it. Anything else?
No, I think you've been mean enough.
Fine. Okay, so then we have, let's see, I'm looking at titles again there. They sent me some titles. I went and named them now. I can't find them. There we go. Celtic Cross Framed. What a neat story. I like that you've incorporated the old world stone wall and the arch and even the flowers growing on it and bringing us into the theme of the scene, this particular. And I guess I don't know, would this be a is it just a cross or is it a grave marker or something like that? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But the background is done nicely, so it's really making that cross stand out. I probably would have gone up with the cropping a little bit and maybe cut out a little bit of this gravel in the foreground, bring it up just a hair. Maybe like this, just to give us just a little bit less of that foreground. Donna, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the cropping was definitely one of the things that is just kind of distracting. That little, the crop's exactly what I would do too as well. But yeah, no, it's the tonality. I thought the presentation was nice as well. And then just that the impact with the select on the focus, that your eyes go right to the cross. And here's where, you know, putting your subject in the middle actually works in the composition.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Breaking those rules.
right.
Well, when you break them, that's great. I mean, and Rick and I've talked about this for years, the rules of composition stuff. I hate to use that word because it makes it seem so, you know, like if you do it, you're going to be sitting in the corner with your nose against the wall. You know, suggestions or, you know, compositional elements or things that can be, if you can break them, if you know what you're doing, then
Yeah. Well, you know, we talked about an image early on. I think it was the first portrait image of the black and white of the gentleman in the kitchen on the table. And I wanted to make a point. Well, I did. I said Arnold Newman. And I would recommend or suggest that maybe someone looks into a book about Arnold Newman, One Mind's Eye.
yes.
Beautiful study of black and white illustrative photography. And so many of those images break all the rules, but they're so powerful, especially Igor Stravinsky at the piano. I like that crop.
I just put that book. Oops, I put it in Terry's thing. Hold on. Make this to everybody. So yeah, so I see we have couple more images here. Yeah, this is a book that I've referred to mostly for that reason that Rick just mentioned, how you can look at a simple portrait and change the composition to something that maybe we were taught isn't the rule, so to speak. And yeah, I think it's definitely a book worth checking into. And I know you can get it off of Amazon. You can buy the used copy for like $9, but it's definitely a great tool to have for composition because it is taking what we've learned, taking what's been forced on us for years to learn, and just twisting it and bending it and seeing how very successful it can still be. Okay, so we have one more here that I don't have a title for this one, but that's okay. Did I get the right one? Nope. That one. All right. Donna, what you think?
Yeah, I think that I love the panoramic, the slim line image of it. I think the crop works well for it. I think maybe again, it's probably one of those images that the time of day with the lighting is where we're probably lacking. I think that the presentation, the composition as well, but I think the different time of day might have given us more impact in the lighting.
Mhm. I
Rick?
think the key line could have been detached.
Yeah, we
Uh,
kind of lose it there at the bottom, don't we?
we sure do.
So let me throw this question at both you guys. So we get these, and again, I think this is more towards what we were used to or what we hear in PPA type of composition competitions is I don't want to say lack of, but there's not really one main focal point here. What are your
Mhm.
guys' thoughts on that?
Well,
Is
you
that a
know,
necessity?
I think it's a nice, peaceful, passive type of an image that you know, depending on the emotion that the maker wants the viewer to appreciate, and it certainly is there. But you know, you make a good point, Jeff. Yeah, if we did have some kind of a an element that would draw our attention and just anchor, so to speak, the image, whether it's you know, a little boat or something like that. And as I look at it, just checking to make sure, do I see something right here? Is that little black spot?
I think it's an island or a rock in the
Okay,
water.
you know, just something like that, you know, can be cleaned up. But I, that's a tough call, you know, because this is a really passive, peaceful image to look at. But I think if there was a secondary image, because I think this is the primary image, but if there was a secondary image, whatever it would be, at some PowerPoint, I probably, you know, would help it out. Donna?
Anything you want to add to that, Donna?
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, I think it's a very pleasant image. I think this is beautiful to hang on your wall and again, you know, postcards, things of that nature. I think that what's missing for me is just the impact, which it goes back to those, you know, the 12 elements, and it's the first one, and it's just kind of lacking the impact for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a spot that, oh, I'd like to stand there and spend some time and just look out over the scene. But initially, as in a photograph, you know, if there was even a statue or something that was here in the foreground, or like you said, Rick said, a boat in the harbor there, or the title actually that is called Outward Bound. So if there was a boat that kind of pulled that outward bound theme to the viewer to but again it's kind of like outward bound, what's outward bound, what's going where are we going, kind of
Right.
thing, and that's what a judge would
And
look
that's
at.
where the title kind of plays in, so.
Yeah, so if there was a boat here, then outward bound would, oh, the boat's going out the out or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well said, gang. We got one more if you guys are still, or have to ask Donna because she's probably way past your bedtime, right?
I'm a night owl.
Oh,
I
good.
don't
Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna have to leave Zoom real quick here just for a second to. I don't want to quit it. Stop share, Jeff. I must be tired too, because I have to go to my email. I think is where they said the other image is. So hang on one second. That is. Oh gosh, are you guys good? I got actually 3 more images. How about that?
All right, we're on.
And they're
bring it
beauties. So hang on. All right, so let's do this. So let me just drag them over to my folder here. So let's take that one over there. That one. They got titles on them, so I'm excited. One item, sound like that. Well, this is cool. I like this one. Okay. So that's cool. So there we go. Guess we got all this. So we got, yeah, 3 more to show. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of. And I'll steal the screen again. And we have, oh yeah, where'd it go now? So we have Whoops, there it is right there. Fire at the Pulpit. And I believe this is just a, yeah, full bleed image, no border. Donna, what do you think?
I love the contrast and the color harmony with the red and the green and the blue. I think we definitely probably need to work a little on cropping, and some distractions on the bottom. And can we zoom in just a little bit, Jeff? I just want to see the top. Yeah, there we go.
Rick, anything you want to add?
You know, I'm thinking that there's a contrast concern for me, and not so much a saturation, but I think contrast, we're, losing a lot of detail in the shadows. I wouldn't expect to see a whole lot, but just to open up the shadows, especially underneath the these areas here. And I'm sensing also a color shift on it. I'm just seeing a lot of green in the
Yeah, that's kind of what I saw too. I mean, it's a little hard. The blue of the sky pulls it back, but I'm seeing a definite green cast. Even in the reds, there's a green cast. I think it's a beautiful scene, and I think there's definitely something in here, playing off the soft, delicate flowers against the hard rocks, and then really nice sky in there. It's soft, but it's not overpowering. But I think it is too contrasty, and I think some of those shadows are too dark, and the color tone could be. And let's just if I'll play again like I'd like to do here. So let's just go with. Let's go with let's just do this. I'll take a eyedrop tool and see if we can. Right, let's go with this one here and maybe go with a. So this has made it a little bit too contrasty, but it also took some of that heavier color out of it, I think. Made it a little bit more of a true color. So here's a 4. And afterwards, and forget that it's a little bit lighter, we can, certainly bring it back to. But I do think the contrast is a little heavy, which would really account for those shadows going too dark. Yeah, it's good. The flowers are well, it's sharp all the way through, so that's cool. Flowers into the.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great perspective. I love the perspective that they've.
Yeah, the nice
That's
low.
what makes it most interesting.
Oops, I clicked on the eyedrop tool. My bad. If I ever get good at this, this will be impressive. I think it's a great idea, but I think there's a little bit of work as it is. I don't know that it would score so well in a competition, but I think there's definitely something here. Of course, adding a border to it, like we talk about, and lightening up the contrast a little bit, I think it might have a little bit better shot at something like that. So, all right. So then we have. These are in different orders now, so I got to search. Oh, there we go. Rivers Vale. Again, there's no mat on it, so it's just as it is. Donna, thoughts?
Yeah, I like the softness of the water. I think maybe though, like a little less in it. I think I'd like to see a little bit more detail. I mean, it's a great location.
Yeah.
And I think that I almost want to see more, like this rock area on the bottom I find is interesting. I guess if we're going to show it down here, let me see if I can find my little thing. Yep, this area here. what's going on? There we go. I guess I would, either show me more or show me less. And then this little trap of light here, either show me more or show me less. Why isn't it?
I don't know, it's weird. It's that mine doesn't go half the time.
Yeah, it was
You're talking about
working.
right down here?
Yeah, and way at the top too. This little triangle trap up here, way at the top,
Oh, up here.
right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
think yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I feel, I think it's a great location. I think there's a captures here. I feel, maybe looking at some other frames, if you did play with the exposure, to maybe just see a little more, more in the water.
Yeah, there looks, I'll just enlarge it a little. There's actually some nice lines and motion of the water, and I think that can be played up a little more. Obviously, it's softer right in this spot, but I mean, going way back into the back falls and the little guys along the way, there's definitely some nice lines that I think could be enhanced just a little bit to make it a little bit more, just a little bit more texture, not much. And again, over the years, I've found that waterfalls are very much a personal preference. I know a couple of people that really like to shoot where there's almost no lines. It's just all soft, a cottony look, soft. And some people want to have more lines in it. So I don't know, where you say right or wrong. This little fall back here in this little canyon, the back wall here, that's very cool right there. And do you feel like, I kind of feel like the image is leaning counterclockwise just a little bit? It could
Yeah.
be kind of thing. Rick, any more thoughts?
No, my biggest concern were the blocked up shadowed areas.
Yeah, because there is some detail in there. It's like I just take the levels layer and I'll just lighten it too much. There's definitely, look at it, there's definitely
Right.
plenty of detail in there. So Maker, if you just kind of can balance those dark shadows, I mean, that right there is a pretty good density for the finished image. Back in here, maybe a little bit darker, but overall, you've got it there. And I think it's a contrast deal, or it's a little bit too heavy. So I'm gonna go back to, actually, this is where it was. So you can see that there's definitely some detail there. So if it was just like in there, again, a black hole like that, all you need is just a tiny bit of detail so that when the viewer looks at it, oh, there's something there, they move on. But having nothing there, their brain gets stuck trying to make some detail, and then it's taking them away from the story you're trying to tell with the rest of the scene. It's kind of how I learned it. So anything else, gang? Okay, let's see. Okay, I have one more here to show. Yeah. All right. Oh, let me get rid of this one here. Sorry. So I want you to put in your mind ZZ Top. No, that's not. I'm sorry. Aerosmith. Sorry. Sorry, Maker. Aerosmith. Walk This Way. This is our last one of the evening. Rick, what do you think?
Okay. First of all, a neat concept, good title. I think propping probably could come up from the bottom. I do like the background, the way it's handled. And I'm wondering too, if we came up from the bottom, about halfway, maybe something like that. I really like the way the background was handled. If there's room on the file, maybe just a little lead in from the left, a little more space to the left. But and then presentation.
Right,
this
yeah.
would really benefit with a nice off-white presentation with maybe a grayish key line.
Donna.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the crop. I love the layers of, the snow, the feeling of the layers of the snow. And boy, you couldn't ask them to like space out or place any better.
Right.
For me, I keep on trying to kind of look at the background a little bit more. And so I'm wishing that the let's see, this little dog. Man, I had no problems with this tool at the beginning of the
I
night.
know, this is what happens to
It's
program.
almost decided not to like me. But you can see this little dogs here or something in the air, this background here. I keep trying to figure it out, like if there's enough detail that I'm looking at it. And then
Stuff here.
yeah. And then this post right here as well in that area. Yeah, so those two little things I kind of go bouncing back that if they were gone, I think I would enjoy it a little bit better, the storytelling aspect of it. But yeah, what a fun capture though.
So what do you guys think about, and again, this is one of those decisions you have to make when you're entering or not. I think it's a cool story and all stuff, but you've got a road with obvious tracks from the cars that make it kind of, does that bother you? Is that a problem or?
Yeah, that's a good point. It'd be nice if it was nice and fluffy and all you saw were their duck
Right.
prints. Yeah, that could be a concern, especially, because we're looking at something that's a natural environment, and then we're introducing elements that are mechanical or physical or man-made. Yeah, I guess that could be something that could be a concern.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, I mean, I remember as a young image maker and submitting, I think, well, that's not fair. That's what it was like. Well, yeah, it was, and it would make a good hanging on the wall, put it in a gift shop, whatever. But when you're coming to this competition lines, and it's not just PPA competition, but all kinds of competitions, I think those are the kind of things that will keep your image from scoring higher and garnering those top prizes. It's just, sure, we can sit here and say, yeah, if, and I know we don't like that, but there's some truth to those kind of things too. So,
Mhm.
Donna, anything else you'd like to add to this?
I think it's been said.
Okay. Let's see. I feel like I had one more here. Let me just make sure I'm not forgetting somebody. Just run through them all real quick here. So we have, I think we've got them all. All right, here's one more we can look at. Irreverent Fury. Oh, why did it open in? How weird was that? Hold on. It wants to, okay, it wants to run through bridge first. Okay. Rick, what are your thoughts?
Wow, I'm just like on the fence with this thing because first of all, there's so much impact to the image. And I'm thinking, well, man, it's so darn contrasty. But then the other part of me was saying, wow, this is really an artistic rendition. And then the texture, there's so much texture in the whole image, and then we put a texture on it, and it's just challenging the viewer in the image. I'm seeing, blown out highlights, in the sky and in the tree, but I don't know. Am I to look at this as a more of a pencil sketch, or it's almost surrealistic more than it is natural? And I'm quite frankly, I'm enjoying it.
Donna.
Yeah, it's one of those images. I think I kind of just keep flip-flopping back and forth, like 1 minute, when it came up, it definitely had impact and it definitely caught my attention and it was intriguing, so I think that says a lot about it. But then you start questioning the technique and if I like the technique or don't like the technique, and then it's like, is it my place to decide the technique, I guess. And so, yeah, yeah, I mean, it has impact and there's storytelling aspect to it. It's unique. I mean, so there's a lot positive going for it. But then I feel like some concern with the technique as well.
Well said, guys. Yeah, I agree with all those things. The technique is a little heavy-handed. I have to agree that you can look at it and say, well, is that stuff blowing in the wind, from the drastic story? So I know what you mean. it kind of catches your eyes like, wow, this is different. But then when you start breaking it down, it's a little bit maybe just too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's our last one for the evening. Let me just get it out of here and stop the share. And so we have a few folks left in the room. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Any other questions or thoughts? We've had some good feedback tonight. Thank you for using that chat. And that's kind of the whole idea here, is to not just sit here and be the upper hand to say this is how it goes and that's it. So I'm glad there's been a lot of good comments and feedback. You know, John turned his video on. He must have something to say.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to go back. I think I forget who it was that made a comment about the detached key line and when you might want to use that as opposed to not attached.
I use it when sometimes I'll put it. I've always liked the key line up against the image. But if the only way to get the key line, and you got to run your eye around the whole thing, because you might work down here and then at the top of the key line might be the same blue as the sky or the green as the trees or whatever, and you lose it. And I can almost promise you a juror will make a comment about it. How many points is it worth? I don't know. But it's just, again, it's one more thing you don't want to give a panel something to say, oh, what about this? So then if you look at it and you think, it's too close to the scene and I can't come up with a, short of going with bright white or red or yellow or something that would throw the whole thing off, then I would just take that layer and drag it out just a few pixels away from the image so it's there. And then, of course, when you're getting a key line against a solid, even a textured matte, play the color down so it's not too bright and other obvious. I mean, I saw one, somebody had submitted an image, and it was really a great shot of Pittsburgh, and it had the stadiums, you know, the Steelers and the Pirates stadiums together there. And of course, they're yellow and black. Well, they had this black mat and this big yellow border, and it was very color coordinated. So I'll give them, you know, it would be great on a poster, but that's all you could see. So it really has to be supportive, but secondary. So when you look back, again, flip that image upside down, sit back for a minute, walk away for a few minutes and come back to it. And if you see that mat and that lip, all of a sudden it's okay, I got to pull back a little bit. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Nope.
Oh, come on, I wasn't that good.
It's tough sometimes because if you have a black and white image that's got everything from white to black,
Yeah.
how do you choose?
You know, a lot of times I'll just pick something in the middle tone, zone 6 or 7, kind of a middle tone, and then make it. I mean, it might be 1 or 2 pixels, so it's just a hairline, but it's just something there.
Yeah,
And
you want to add, not distract.
yeah, it's a supportive role, isn't it? Yeah, we've seen some lovely floral pictures where they've taken the red flower and made that the mat, and the yellow flower made it a 50 pixel lip, and then a green is another mat underneath it, and it's color coordinated. It's great, but not for this.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for sitting with us all night here, and as usual, I will render this and put it up on the site sometime tomorrow, so you can go back and look at your stuff. Donna, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having your glow amongst us tonight, especially as late as it is.
The rose amongst the
Guys, it was great
thorns.
to see you.
Donna, thank you so much, dear. So good to see you.
Welcome. Good to see you too.
Thank you. Enjoy your summer. My best to Brad.
Will do.
Yeah, did Brad give up? No, Brad's still here. Good job.
No. When we went on break, I said, wow, wow.
Either that, is he in the same room with you? Is he sleeping?
No,
in
he's
the room?
upstairs. He's upstairs. He's not, he's like literally logged on listening.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Thank
He
you.
said he misses it. So
Oh, good.
Well, that's kind of one of the things that we decided we wanted to do something like this, to be able to offer obviously a help situation, but to, bring it back into this kind of feel. Because I mean, frankly, I think the whole MIR thing, and I won't say any more words about it, but the fact that you can't watch it is what? Yeah. Enough said. Cliffy, thank you, man, for being here. You haven't said too many words tonight, but that's okay. We still appreciate your support. And
Well, there weren't a lot of questions that came up that I really had to interrupt for, so.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's not that you didn't want to say something. It's
Right.
just, you're just that disciplined, Cliffy.
I'm a disciplined guy.
Yes, you are. Cliffy, thank you
Anyways,
so much.
so thank you, everybody. Watch for the up, and of course, there's all kinds of other, we've got a lot of things coming up for the image critique show that will help you more. We're working on some private, I'll say private critique situations where you can have Rick and I critique several of your images, a whole portfolio. We're working on a special deal there where you'll be able to have us, and it would be something where we would actually do a Zoom like this, and we'll, have you involved and actually do critiques on your a whole portfolio with us live and hopefully help you out that way. So stay tuned for that one. And that's enough out of me. Thanks, Brad, for sitting and listening to us the whole night. Appreciate that.
Good night, guys.
Everyone, thank you
Good
so
night,
much.
everybody.
Thank you for watching the Image Critique Show with Jeff Johnson and Rick Avalos. Learn more by checking them out at theimagecritiqueshow.com.